Okay, I received pushback today from a guy named Hereticus. I don't know what he means by that, Hereticus 40. And he was challenging our video where it was the dispensation, history of the dispensation, and it was episode 1, and he's pushing back. He's saying, I want you to prove that anyone ever said that Jesus' dispensation of the law is dead and gone. Okay? So he claims he doesn't know that, and also he misquoted me. So I'll read you what he says here. Jesus' gospels are dead and gone. That's one of their favorite expressions. He's quoting me, supposedly, not accurately, and I'll show you what I said. Quite a claim you make there. I'm calling you out. Unless you can show 3 videos where a dispensationalist, especially mid-acts dispensationalist, says that, or anything even close to what you claim here, then you are a lying child. Been a dispensationalist for over 30 years and mid-acts for the last 2, and I've never heard that even once. Okay, well, I can't explain why you haven't heard it, but the dispensational argument is that Jesus' dispensation is of law and Paul's is the dispensation of grace. So I said, and we're going to listen to that in a moment. I'm going to go to another slide where I'll show you the words that I say, and then I'm going to let you hear what I actually said. And I said that the dispensational view, or dispensationalists argue that Jesus' dispensation is dead and gone, and that means the dispensation of law. And that is part of a famous sermon by Luther in 1525, and I'm going to show you that sermon as well. And if you want, you'll find literally hundreds of articles that mention that the dispensation of law is dead and gone. And that's what Luther said first. So let's move forward one step at a time, and I'm going to show you next what I actually said. Okay, and I'm going to speak to those people who are watching and seeing how this is playing itself out. This shows you that we can have serious dialogues, people can mishear things, and my job is not to humiliate Hereticus, but to simply say, you didn't hear me right. And I hope that we can have dialogues like that. So if you write me and you're incorrectly remembering what I said, I'm not going to come down on you. I'd rather hear what you think you thought I said, and then we're going to have a dialogue about that, because maybe I triggered something and you didn't realize I didn't say what I said. So what I actually said is, I said the dispensationalist, quote, view is that Jesus' dispensation is dead and gone. And so it's a fact of life that Jesus' dispensation is called by dispensationalists the dispensation of law, while Paul's dispensation is called the dispensation of grace. That's unquestionable, Hereticus. I'm sure you would agree. So now let me play back the audio so you can hear what I actually said by listening calmly and not excited or upset or whatever might have led you to mishear me before. So here it is. And this book by Paul Barnett, Paul, Missionary of Jesus, 2008, page 13, is going to explain how Bultmann quashed it was called the Back to Jesus movement, caused by William Reed's book called Paul from 1902. So from 1902 until Bultmann could destroy this movement, this all turned on 2 Corinthians 5:16. This was the verse he was going to use to bomb William Reed and destroy his message. And actually accept the truth of it. He's going to accept the truth that Paul never talks about Jesus' message in the flesh. And he's going to use that and say, see, Paul's proof that we shouldn't be preaching Jesus. You see, so they turned it around. So they couldn't deny that fact. They just simply absorbed it and said, that's the proof that we don't have to listen to Jesus, because Paul didn't listen to Jesus anymore. See, it's just they will never accept defeat. No matter what you say, they're going to always find a way that it only confirms them in their hardline view that their anti-Jesus view that Jesus' dispensation is dead and gone. Anyway, this is what Paul Barnett says. Okay, so I think Hereticus and anyone else who's observing I said the dispensationalist view is that Jesus' dispensation is dead and gone, and that I will now prove has been the subject of clear statements by the first dispensationalist of the modern era, Martin Luther. But I just want people to know Martin Luther did modify his doctrines about 6, 7, 8 years later and change quite substantially on the law later, and actually mandated study of the law as part of the Lutheran Catechism. That's how far he went from where he was at this time. But I want you to, it's also instructive. We're going to learn a little about Luther right now. It's short, but important. Now, I want to also show you something about Luther. He was an extreme dispensationalist, and even dispensationalists of today would not go as far as he was. So he thought Paul was ahead, ahead of Jesus in learning and knowledge. So he didn't believe that Paul was getting anything from Jesus up in heaven. He thought Paul was all by himself figuring things out, because the Jesus that Paul and everybody knew on earth was law-centric and was a bit behind and a bit slow compared to Paul. So you're going to be shocked. So brace yourself for what you're going to hear. So this is not what modern dispensationalists would say anymore. As we go to the next thing. Oh, so let's read what I wrote here. Luther, based on Paul's superiority to Jesus on knowing the law was abrogated, faulted Jesus for thinking the law was still valid. So we'll hear Luther say this. Okay, so I'm now going to read this quote from Luther, and just so you know, this is going to show you that Luther thought of Paul as on a higher level than the Jesus on earth, and that Jesus, as in a resurrected in flesh body, is not going to have any greater wisdom that he had on earth. So Paul is all on his own, coming up with the gospel that's so great and wonderful. So Luther had an actually higher view of Paul than he does Jesus, which you will see in this quote if you are paying attention. And this is so heretical, it would never fly today. There is no man living on earth except Paul, that's my little note there, who knows how to distinguish between the law and the gospel. Even the man Jesus Christ was so wanting in understanding when he was in the vineyard that an angel had to console him. Though he was a doctor from heaven, he was strengthened by the angel. So what is Luther doing there? He's trying to say is Jesus was vulnerable and weak, and he needed strengthening from angels. He's just a man, and he calls him the man Jesus Christ. But Paul, he's saying no man living on earth knows how to distinguish the law and the gospel well. Luther would count himself in the category of people who could distinguish it, and obviously he thinks Paul can. But Jesus, no, he cannot do that. So he's wed to the law. He's not that with it. He doesn't understand the laws to be abrogated. And so he's pursuing this mission where he's trying to become king and all this. And that's where dispensationalism began in the Reformation, which is nowadays we would say, oh, no. Jesus is got a whole big plan. He's going to bring back the law in heaven somewhere in the millennial kingdom. And so now that's how the dispensationalists deal with this problem. But the original version of dispensationalism was very, I would call it low Christology. Let's put it that way. Okay, so here's the quote where the dispensation of Jesus, which is the law, is going to be said to be dead and gone. And that's what I said. That's all I said. The dispensationalists say that Jesus' dispensation is dead and gone. And that we know is the law. And this is what Martin Luther says in 1525. And I'm going to actually show you the sermon right after this. I dismiss the commandments given to the people of Israel. They neither urge nor compel me. They are dead and gone, except insofar as I gladly and willingly accept something from Moses, as if I said, this is how Moses ruled, and it seems fine to me, so I will follow him in this or that particular. Martin Luther. So, if I want to obey the law, I like it, it's not a big deal, okay, I'll accept it. But he knows it's dead and gone. And so Sir Hereticus, whatever your real name is, it's there, and you'll find this in 1,000 sermons. The same thing. And in much of the dispensational literature, they'll actually say the law is dead and gone. Paul even says to the Galatians in I think it's chapter 5, he says the law is dead and gone. It's why do you want to be a bondage again to something that's dead? That's just bondage. So, Paul even says words to those effect. So here we are where that famous expression where it said the law is dead and gone is an article entitled How Christians Should Regard Moses by Martin Luther. It's dated 1525. You can see all the various citations underneath here. This is at nlnarc.org. And then he's going to basically get to that down here. So we're going to kind of move ahead to where he says these words. I have them highlighted here. Okay, so he's saying, and I'm going to use my cursor to help you. In the first place, I dismiss the commandments given to the people of Israel. They neither urge nor compel me. They are dead and gone. Can you see that, Hereticus? Except insofar as I gladly and willingly accept something from Moses, as if I said, this is how Moses ruled, and it seems fine to me, so I will follow him in this or that particular. So the people who say this in the dispensational text and arguments repeatedly are relying upon Martin Luther, and so they have a legitimate source for what they're saying. And so, Hereticus, sometimes you maybe should, what should people do sometimes? If you think somebody's saying something wrong and you can't believe it, why don't you search the words dead and gone? I found this within a few minutes. Also, I was in my website. I have a page on this article, so I had read this and studied it. So anyway, but I enjoy the challenges, and so keep them coming. Anyway, God bless everybody. I hope this helps people understand that you know, if you do your homework, you never want to be found making a mistake. So always say things correctly, and then you don't really have to apologize for things. But you know, had I said it incorrectly, I would have said so. So if you send me something and I'm wrong, I'll put it out there, and I'll be just as thorough to show my own error. Okay, everyone. God bless. Take care. Ciao. Bye.